Hello there and welcome to a brand new season of Dexter Unwrapped, a podcast where we wander into the shadows and unwrap the dark mind of everyone's favorite vigilante serial killer, Dexter Morgan. As always, I'll be your host, Brooke.
And I'm Michaela, and today we are leaving behind the murky waters of Miami and taking a trip up north to frigid Iron Lake as we rewatch and unwrap Dexter New Blood, starting with episode number 1, titled Cold Snap.
Tonight's the night. 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 It's been a long time.
Hello there, Spotify and YouTube listeners. It is so nice to be back. Thank you for tuning in. Starting off, we got some new equipment. We did a little upgrade. It was well past due, so hopefully we sound a little bit clearer. Our plan was to record in Michaela's school bus. I don't know if we've ever talked about that before on here, but Michaela lives in a school bus. It's super cute, super adorable. But we went on there, we recorded, and the acoustics just did not give what needed to be gave. So we're back here at the regular Dexter Unwrapped HQ. So yeah, this is going to be a lot like Dexter Original Sin. We're going to do a new episode every week, and we're going to cover all 10 episodes of Dexter New Blood. Super excited.
Yeah, very exciting. Really enjoyed watching this show when it came out, so yeah. Cannot wait to
and really, it. I've only seen New Blood fully through maybe twice. So it's been a while, so it's going to be really fun to rewatch it. And I think that leaves us, we are going to take one weekend off in May. And I think that leaves us with our final episode for New Blood being around May 25th. So then we're going to probably take another couple weeks off. And then we're going to start on Dexter Resurrection, which is set to premiere right now, mid to late June, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of exciting news recently with Resurrection. A bunch of new people.
Oh my god, Neil Patrick Harris.
Crazy.
Excuse me, are you Neil Patrick Harris?
Yep.
Gosh.
Kristen Ritter.
Yes, Kristen Ritter's great. Loved her in Breaking Bad. Freaking out about MPH. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when I got the notification. I woke up out of a dead sleep. I looked at my phone and I'm like, holy fuck, Neil Patrick Harris. And then I went back to sleep. Who else did they confirm?
Eric Stonestreet.
Who's that?
No clue.
What's he playing? What kind of character is he playing?
It just says Al.
Al. Well, we've got Uma Thurman. We've got, of course, Jack Alcott coming back as Harrison. We've got Batista coming back. No word on C.S. Lee or Desmond Harrington, correct?
Not as of yet.
Well, hopefully that's coming, because I would love for them to make an appearance. I feel like I'm missing... Oh, Peter Dinklage, of course. Peter Dinklage is going to be joining also. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've seen some behind-the-scenes footage. I saw some the other day of, I think, Michael and Kristen. They were in a park, I want to say, Central Park, maybe, filming something. She's set to play someone called Lady Vengeance, I guess.
Yeah, another serial killer.
That's really interesting. I'm super excited to see what they have for us. Like we were saying, or we were a couple days ago, we were talking about being diehard Dexter fans and just riding till the wheels fall off. And I'm sorry, I don't care if it's Dexter dialysis and he is fucking offing his nurses in the nursing home. We're gonna watch that shit.
Oh yeah. Always down for some Dexter.
Absolutely. I wanted to take a quick second and say hello to all of our new followers. We did get some new ones in between the finale of Original Sin and now. So hello, and thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I also wanted to, this is super off topic, but I wanted to take a second to talk to you about any new upcoming movies or shows that you are excited about. Did you watch The Righteous Gemstones?
I did.
I did not. Do you have HBO Max?
No.
How did you watch it?
Devin streamed it.
Oh, man. It's not on Soap Today.
It's not?
I'm admitting to piracy here, but it's not on Soap Today yet, so I haven't been able to watch it. But I hear it's a Bradley Cooper bottle episode of sorts.
Yeah.
unique, different.
Yeah, very odd.
Well, we fucking love The Righteous Gemstones. I am so excited. I'm really sad that it's the final season, but I feel like it is, like, if you drag things on too long, it just cheapens it. So I'm excited to see that where that goes. I'm excited.
It better
to see...
be a fun-filled season.
God, I hope
better
so.
be lots of laughs.
I want to see a lot of Baby Billy, which I think we see a lot of Baby Billy anyway, but I
love
Baby
Judy.
Billy. I love Baby Billy and I love BJ. They're just... BJ's incredible. But we've been watching Yellow Jackets.
Yes.
Very weird and confusing right now.
Yeah,
for Yellow Jackets.
The season has got me thinking. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I saw someone, I think it was TikTok. I always see the shit on TikTok, but they were talking about how they related it to the Final Destination movies, which there's a new one of those coming out too, which I'm excited about. The trailer was crazy.
The trailer was wild for that movie.
But they related it to Final Destination in the way that, like, the wilderness, they were all supposed to die out there and the wilderness is coming back after them all one by one.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories going around right now.
Yeah, because I don't know where they're going with it. There's just so much, like, going on,
I
feel.
like the cave theories. I mean, we just got introduced to the cave, spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers abound, apparently. We're going to try not to spoil anything new, but as far as, like, Dexter Original Sin, Dexter New Blood, obviously there's going to be spoilers for that.
But
Continue.
I like the cave theory with the gases just making them go crazy.
Right.
And everything.
I also heard a theory about lead poisoning. So.
Okay. Interesting.
So who knows where that's going. I've been drooling at the mouth, wanting to know what the fuck is going on in Severance right now. Did you finish the first season?
I finished the first season, yeah. I haven't started the second.
Our last episode, weirdly enough, was essentially a bottle episode of Copel. And a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was interesting. I thought there was a lot of revelations and a lot of good information there. We haven't seen much of Copel this season, so it was nice to get a whole episode about her, pretty much. Anything else? They're making a new Shrek movie?
What is this one? Shrek 6?
5. I think
5?
Maybe. I think it might be 5. It's either 5 or 6. And they have changed the animation.
The original animation?
They've changed the way it looks. Let me pull up a picture. It's a fucking travesty, is what it is. So if you haven't seen it, go Google Shrek 5 and look at the images for it. I don't know why they've decided to do this, but
I mean, it doesn't look that different.
yeah, I think it does. I love Shrek, man. I love me some Shrek. And I guess Zendaya's playing Shrek's daughter, who is now, like, a teenager.
Okay.
Completely off topic. I mean, this is a fucking Dexter show, but... And, of course, The Last of Us Season 2 will be out next month, which we're excited about also.
So, lots of stuff in store for us for 2025, show-wise and movie-wise.
Absolutely. Fucking thrilled. I was so ready for the Batman Part 2, and I think they moved it back to 2026. So, looks like we're not seeing Bobby P.
What he be doing? Why is he too busy or something?
It's not him. It's something to do with the production. I think he's ready to go. He did just have a baby, but the baby's like almost a year old, I think, at this time. So I don't know what the deal with that is, but I wish they would just fucking get that ball rolling. I'm ready to see it. Okay, well, I think we've yapped enough. Without further ado, let's get started in on episode 1, Cold Snap.
Dexter New Blood premiered on November 7th, 2021, and it was, of course, developed by the show's original showrunner, Clyde Phillips, and also directed by Marco Siega. It also welcomes back familiar faces such as Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter, reprising their roles as siblings. And it also introduces us to some new characters played by the likes of Julia Jones, Jack Alcott, and, of course, Mr. Krabs himself, Clancy Brown.
And like we said, as always, there will be spoilers ahead for every iteration of Dexter. Original Sin could even catch a few strays, so if you have not seen those, please continue with caution. So in episode 1, we pick back up with Dexter Morgan a whopping 10 years after the events of the season finale of Dexter. And he's now living under the name Jim Lindsay, which is
A nod.
yeah, a nod, a reference to the author of the Dexter books. His name is Jeff Lindsay. We actually got like a comment on, I think, our YouTube. Someone saying that we should read the books and talk about the books. And I thought that was really interesting. I've never read them. I heard they're more like supernatural. Like the Dark Passenger's more of like a supernatural figure.
Yeah, I've always been curious about the books.
I hear they're wild
Yeah.
and very dark. So it would be really cool. Maybe we'll have to do that because we both like to read, I feel. So
Yeah, I haven't read in a while, but
yeah.
I could always pick up a good book
You used to
every
be
now and then.
a reader-writer, Miss Girl. You
I
used to
know,
write
I
fanfics and
know.
everything. And they were good.
Yeah.
We used to... It wasn't that long ago that we sat down and read some of... I used to write fanfics too, but I wrote Jonas Brother fanfics, and you were writing like Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Way cooler.
Love me some snacking.
I mean, I fucking love the Jonas Brothers, so I'm not ashamed of that. But... How did we get on the topic of fucking fanfics? The book?
Hey, I could write a good Dexter fanfic, that's for sure.
Oh, we should do it. Can you imagine writing Dexter fanfics when we're 30 years old? We do more mature things like make a podcast about Dexter. That's less nerdy, right?
I hope so.
So I think it's interesting that we get no theme song for this show. It's just like we get the title card, the Dexter New Blood. And I know a lot of people were initially let down by this, you being one of them, me too.
Yeah, I was hoping we would get to see his new like morning routine.
Reflective.
Very happy that they did that with Original Sin, and we got to see the '90s version.
Me too.
Absolutely loved it, and really wish we would have got it here for New Blood and got to see him.
I agree. I do agree. I feel like maybe they were afraid to be repetitive. There's a lot of different stylistic choices with this show that differ a lot from the original Dexter show. And we'll talk about all of them as we go through the episode, but I think that's one of them. There being no theme song. And also, I mean, like we said earlier, the whole kind of point of this is that Dexter Morgan is frozen. Dexter, the dark passenger is not there as of now, like when you first enter into the episode. So maybe that's why they didn't put the theme song. I don't know. It's interesting. So when we're looking at the episode as a whole, one of the things that sticks out to me is this opening scene. It's so good. It's so fitting.
Yeah, the opening scene, and when we meet Deb.
Yeah, the meeting Deb is. It's really hard I can't remember. Did we know ahead of time that Jennifer Carpenter was involved?
Yeah, unfortunately, they spoiled that. I wish they would have kept it a secret.
Yeah.
It would have.
We didn't know about Harrison, though, right?
No, we didn't know about Harrison. Yeah. See, I would have rather Harrison been spoiled and
Yeah.
Deb would have been a secret. But
yeah, I agree because it was. But even knowing about it, it was so impactful and so crazy to hear her. I remember it being like such a crazy thing to us at the time to be sitting there in the year 2021 and watching a brand new Dexter episode. And now here we are, it's 2025, and we're waiting for another new Dexter show. That's crazy. I never thought we would get this much of Dexter.
I wasn't expecting anything after New Blood. I thought
Me
that was
either.
it.
Me too.
And
Absolutely.
Then we get 2 more shows with possible multiple seasons. Crazy.
I'm still waiting on that Original Sin Season 2 announcement. It's got to be coming, right? There's no way that show's not getting a Season 2. They've spoken about it pretty explicitly.
Yeah, I was such a, one and
Me too.
done person, but now I am just...
It's Patty.
Yeah, I am in love with Patty Gibson, and I really want them to do a Season 2.
Me too. They have to. So I'm so glad that they took us from, sweltering Miami to frigid Iron Lake. It was such a good creative move. I think it played well into the idea, like I said earlier, the idea of Dexter being frozen essentially. We learned in this episode that he hasn't killed anyone in a decade. So it's like the Dark Passenger is frozen and he's stuck in this perpetual winter of sorts as Jim Lindsay, the upstanding citizen and loving boyfriend. But we do see from the very first episode here that Dexter Morgan is beginning to seep through the cracks of this facade of Jim Lindsay.
And pretty much this whole episode, we get no inner voice until almost the very end, which is crazy.
It's so bizarre. I remember watching the first episode and feeling like something is so off. Like,
yeah, but I didn't really even notice it.
I didn't either. I didn't know what it was until he said,
It's been a long time.
but yeah, until he said that, it hit me. I was like, oh fuck, that's what's been off. We can't hear him. And it's very quiet. I think the first 5 minutes there's no dialogue. The first words spoken in the show are Deborah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're also reintroduced to Dexter's son, Harrison.
God. Fuck Harrison.
Like I've said before, Michaela's the CEO of the Fuck Harrison Foundation.
Like, we could have done this whole show without Harrison, and it would have been fine.
Well, Harrison, who he had with his wife, Rita, rest in power, sweet angel. Love Rita so much. That's who we get introduced to. He finds Dexter after, 10 years. Dexter leaves him in the original show with a character named Hannah and, pretty much abandons him and fakes his death. And then Harrison has come back to find him in New Blood, which is...
Yeah, with Hannah presumably dying of cancer.
Yeah. We also get an introduction to human shit personified when we meet Matt Caldwell. He is probably one of my very least favorite characters in Dexter. He fucking sucks. He's so annoying to me. That frat bro energy, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, he's annoying.
He is. Thank you for that. He is annoying. So I think this first episode, overall, it's just a great introduction to this new world we're in here.
Yeah, we're definitely not in Miami anymore.
For sure. And I also think it's cool that we're introduced in the show to Jim Lindsay. And by the end of the episode, we're reacquainted with Dexter Morgan. It goes dummy hard.
So to start this episode off, we see Dexter on the run.
Yeah. We're thrown right into the action. It's like when we left Dexter last time, he was faking his death and abandoning his kid. And now the first time we see him in 10 years, he is literally on the run with gun in hand, which is so weird.
Yeah, crazy to see Dexter with a gun.
Do we ever, have we ever really seen him with a gun?
I don't think so.
And we get Iggy Pop's The Passenger playing loudly in the background. Such a lovely song of choice. It's to me, it's like the anthem of this season. That Iggy Pop song. Anytime I hear it, I will forever think of Dexter New Blood.
Oh yeah, that's what always pops in my head now as soon as it comes on.
So Dexter's running through this icy forest, and it seems we're no longer in Kansas, Toto. We're now in this frigid, cold, colorless environment, whereas Miami's the exact opposite.
We see that Dexter is actually following this white deer.
This gorgeous, ethereal white deer. He takes aim towards it, and then just as fast, he lets go of the trigger. So we're left with this, is Dexter Morgan no longer a killer? Question mark. I do appreciate that they didn't spend any time in this show on any, flashbacks or weird monologues explaining the previous ending. I hate when shows or films spend too much time explaining things and not showing things. Just the first thing that popped in my head was Longlegs. There's this scene, the very end of the film, I know you know what I'm talking about, where the mom just kind of, explains the whole movie. Everything that happened. Stuff like that just bothers me. It feels lazy, kind of. I understand sometimes people need to be led through the story in a way. But it's always a letdown. I'm just glad they didn't do that with this show. They kind of just, you have to figure it out on your own pretty much. And I'm not talking shit on Longlegs. I had so much fun with that movie.
Yeah, such a great movie.
I had my ass sat twice in the theater for Mr. Longlegs.
Nicolas Cage did such a good job.
Oh, but it seems I wore my long legs today.
You know a bugaboo of mine, though? His legs were not nearly long enough.
Yeah.
That man's legs were not long enough.
Like, where the fuck they at?
I know. I kept thinking, like, I need these legs to get longer now. And they didn't.
Yeah, I was expecting him to, like, grow or something.
Yeah, or like, something. We did like that movie, though. And with that, then we're watching Dexter in his new routine that he's fallen into, and it feels monotonous. But Dexter is an addict. And something any recovering addict will tell you is that routine is everything. He's on this new schedule. And we get the routine. It's the chopping of the wood, feeding of the farm animals. Like, what the fuck? He had pigs.
Yeah, crazy to see Dexter with, like, pets.
Yeah, the goats and the chickens. He's checking his traps. It's keeping him from falling back into old patterns, I think. Just doing the same thing every day.
So Dexter enters his cute little cabin. He has a Christmas tree up.
Super cute.
Wasn't ever expecting that out of Dexter.
No. But that is part of the Jim Lindsay facade. That's normal to have a Christmas tree. You know what I mean?
And up until now, we still haven't had a single word spoken.
Yeah, we're like almost 4 minutes in before we hear anything. And then we hear...
It's on the floor.
And it's Deb.
It's Deborah, and she looks so gorgeous. She's like glowing in this show. I don't know what it is, what they've done with her hair or makeup, whatever. She looks beautiful. But it's Dexter's dead sister, Deborah. It seems like maybe she's taken the place of Harry as his, like, conscience, kind of.
Yeah, and the calendar here that Dexter is marking the days out with is very, like...
Oh, yeah.
Is...
very reminiscent.
Of the cheek size.
Yeah.
Like,
you turned that into a... How did you do that?
What?
You turned a part of it into a checklist.
I don't know.
You turned my notes into a checklist, bro. That's okay. But it makes sense. Like, Harry, Deborah, they're projections of Dexter's mind. So it makes sense. Deborah would keep him in line. You know what I mean? She's a fucking hard ass. And one of the most morally straight people, I think, that we meet in the entire show, other than maybe Rita. The little shot of him and Deb at the table, even though we know Deborah's dead, she's long gone, it's still sort of like a gut punch when you see him there at the table. He's actually at the table alone.
Yeah, I really love how they shot all the scenes with her.
Yeah.
They did it very beautifully, I think.
I would definitely agree with that. So next we get this scene where he's like sharpening a cleaver, and he's very meticulous about it, much like he is with everything. And he unfolds this knife roll bag, which is very reminiscent of the one that he kept in the original show. So you're immediately thinking, what the hell is he doing with that? And with that, we get our very first title card. And our title card does change in the slightest of ways. With every episode, there's more and more blood drippage into the new blood part of the logo.
Yeah, the title card was cool. It kind of reminded me of Supernatural in a way.
I agree.
Did not like the episode titles though. I think it's cool how they changed like every episode.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like how they were executed.
Yeah, that's going back to what I said about this. There's just a lot of different stylistic choices, and they maybe didn't feel like Dexter completely. So I could understand why that was like a little jarring. But like I think this one we get the cold snap that's in the road, right? And
Right.
his truck drives through it. That truck, by the way, is very reminiscent of a truck we saw recently in Original Sin.
Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional.
It would make sense. All these years later, he can't kill anymore, and he's trying to hold on to, who he used to be. He had a truck that was very similar to that when he first started killing. So it would make sense that maybe he got that, as sort of maybe a reminder. We also get this really fast montage of clips from the episode we're about to see.
I wasn't really a fan of that either.
Really. I didn't mind it. I thought it was unnecessary, but I didn't really mind it. I thought it was, like I said, just very different from the Dexter show that we know. So then we see Dexter driving, and he's blasting Burnin' For You by Blue Oyster Cult. I will say it was so nice to hear something other than Don't Fear the Reaper. That song is so overplayed. It's a good song, but damn. And then suddenly he's being pulled over, and the lady cop approaches his vehicle and asks him to step out. The audience is thinking, what in the actual fuck? No way this guy's in trouble already. Like, this is 5 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, what did he do?
So it turns out this lady cop is his current girlfriend, Angela Bishop, who was played by Julia Jones, who plays Leah Clearwater, the werewolf, in the Twilight films. Iconic films. I will not take notes on that. I will die on that hill. I fucking love Twilight.
Oh, they will go down in history.
Absolutely, man. They're incredible. I rewatch Twilight a few times a year, at least. I digress. So Dexter and Angela get into it, in the back of her cop car.
Yeah, and Dexter is just loving it.
He's straight cheesing. But alas, they get interrupted by Angela's job. And she has to... what's the problem here?
There's some loose sheep and some missing pies.
What the hell? Pecan pies. You know, I feel it. I love pecan pies. I might steal me some pecan pies, too. I can't even hate on that.
Yeah.
So, there's this sheep crisis, and Angela has to take off. So then we get a good look around Iron Lake. Dexter's kind of walking around. It's a gorgeous little town. Michaela went here. I think we've said that before, but might as well mention it again. It's very relevant.
A cute little town.
What's the name of it?
Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts.
Shelburne Falls.
And it was snowy when I went as well. So
was it really?
Yes, it was beautiful.
I bet it was. I've still never seen you so excited about anything.
I was literally shaking.
Yeah. So Jim, aka Dexter, starts to walk around Iron Lake, and we get the sense that he's really a beloved member of the town. People act a lot like they did when he would walk into the station back in Miami. Hey Jim, how are you, Jim? Just like people seem to really like Jim Lindsay.
Yeah, it's such a small little town too, so like everyone knows everybody.
Yeah. So then we see Dexter, he kind of turns a corner here to deliver these tools. That's what it turns out he's doing. He was just sharpening those for someone. He goes to deliver these tools to the butcher. And he comes around the corner and he sees blood on the ground. And it just like completely stops him in his tracks for a minute. It may be 10 years later, but blood still gets under his skin, obviously.
After he drops off the knife, we see him grab some pastries. But this time, they're not donuts.
Yeah, they're like cinnamon rolls.
They look delicious, that's for sure.
They do. But typical Dexter, he takes those pastries to work, where he now works, which is Fred's Fish and Game.
Yeah, very different than blood spatter analyst.
Absolutely.
At Miami Metro, like.
Well, he can't commit murder, so now he's just facilitating it. I thought it was interesting when he walks into work here, the very first thing he does is he adjusts this knife in the window.
I would have too. I wouldn't have been able to stand it.
Incredibly meticulous, and he always has been, but it seems like maybe even more so now. And we get to meet Jim's boss here, Fred Jr., in passing. He talks to Jim about, are they adopting a dog? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but first we get the iconic chair spin.
Yes, we get a Dexter original spin. Thank you for always noticing those. The Dexit and the original spin, I just don't register them sometimes. And Michaela's always like, did you see the spin?
Also in the scene when they're talking about the pet names that his boss is going over, Dexter says he's Switzerland. So he also says this with Deb and Lila in season 2.
Yeah, a little nod, a little Easter egg back to the original show. There's a few of those.
And there's like a lot in this first episode, I want to say.
And then we meet this little fucking rodent named Matt Caldwell.
And here we go.
This the guy I want to see. Jim.
How can I help you?
It seems apparent quickly that Matt Caldwell could possibly, in some way, be related to the central conflict of the show. He's just that intolerable that there's no way this guy isn't going to be a player in the story somehow. He walks in and he immediately gets on Dexter's nerves.
Yeah, he's so annoying. He gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
Cannot stand him.
And Matt's looking to purchase some weapons, of course, a big-ass knife and a rifle to be exact. And there is a rifle that Dexter suggests to him. It's a great gun for hunting, but nay. Matt doesn't have any real interest in that. He just wants a big fucking gun that's going to be bigger than everybody else's. So he picks a $9,000, some type of assault rifle. I don't know guns, but an enormous, expensive gun to go hunting with. My eyes rolled out of my fucking head. But then this gun, when he goes to try to buy it, and it gets put on a background check, like a hold. And this immediately pisses Matt off, but Dexter insists he has to follow procedure. And then Matt says something here. He says,
You know, you break a rule, sometimes you might even have a little fun.
he has no idea what it would be like if Dexter wanted to break a rule. Well, not at this point, but he will soon. Matt then proceeds to fuck around with this huge knife he just bought. I think he puts it around his friend's neck. What the fuck?
Yeah, and I love this little noise he makes at Dexter. And we come back to that
We do
at the end as well. But Dexter also says here, when he is playing with the knife, that he says, I have a thing about blood.
He does. Yeah, you're right. So 10 years later, and things are so much different, but things are still very much the same at the same time.
The next scene, we get a little peek into the Iron Lake police station. It is very different than Miami Metro.
Yep. Absolutely.
They have found all the pies.
The missing pecan pies. And this is your favorite sound clip from the entire show.
These pies smell amazing.
I wonder if the pies reminded him of Camilla.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
So a few of Angela's coworkers here, they get to talking about Caldwell the Lesser, aka Matt, and they reveal that Matt has been in a devastating boat accident recently. And as they're talking about this boat incident, it's hitting me that it's very similar to a real life case, the Murdaughs. You can watch, there's so many different documentaries about the Murdaughs, but they're this rich ass family pretty much, and they were all very corrupt. They were just shitty people. But one of the sons had driven a boat drunk, and wrecked and killed a young girl and injured everyone else. And he ended up getting like a slap on the wrist for that because of the notoriety and the money that his family had. So I think it's definitely possible that whole thing was inspired by the Murdaugh case, because that shit is insane. You should definitely go watch that. I think Southern Scandal was a really good one, I think. It might even be on Hulu, but it's crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And it's important to note here that the official story is that Matt wasn't driving the boat, and that it wasn't his fault, the accident that killed 5 people. And another thing is that Matt had to have his femur repaired after the accident. And that's all gonna come back up later, baby.
So Angela takes Dexter into her office, and we see that she has a board up with all these missing women. We also get a small flash of a picture frame which shows Angela and another woman. So is she doing this for her friend? Is she trying to find anything she can on all these missing women, you know?
Yeah, and like as the viewer, we're thinking, is this related to our big bad? Because That's a lot of missing women that she has on her board there. And there's like I think she says she has like no evidence.
Yeah, and for such a small town, it's crazy that there's nothing.
So we definitely think this could be related to where this season's going to go. But before we get any info on that, Angela takes off, reminding Dexter that they were going line dancing that night.
Love to see Dexter dance.
Dexter dancing. I don't think anything could beat the dancing in the reunion episode. Too good. Of the original Dexter show, I mean.
Right.
Where he gets the beach.
Right.
Yeah. So we walk into the line dancing spot later that night. And when they walk in, Heart of Glass by Blondie is playing. They use music to kind of foreshadow a lot in this show. I think that's what they're doing here. That song is all about falling in love with someone and feeling like it's real, only to realize that it's sour and you can't actually trust that person. So it makes a lot of sense knowing Dexter is hiding his identity from Angela. It was very on the nose, I feel. I wanted to ask you, do you think it was intentional or maybe even just subconscious that Dexter started a relationship with a cop?
I think so, yeah. I feel like it was kind of intentional, probably. You know, he has to stay in the know.
Yeah, he's very methodical, even though he hasn't killed anyone. I feel like in the back of his mind, he knew he would kill again. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's
no
always,
way.
It's always inside of him.
Yeah, there's no way he thought that for the rest of his life he would never kill again. He could have even been, planning for it subconsciously. So they're dancing. They're doing their little dancey dance. And while all this is going on, we see outside that a mysterious figure is being dropped off. We can't see who it is. It's dark, but they are getting off of a semi-truck at the Caldwell stop. Who could this be?
Guess we'll find out.
And why does that truck driver sound like Eric King?
Surprise, motherfucker.
It really does.
Yeah, it does, and so many people have said the same thing. So I wonder if maybe it was just like a little nod to old Dokes.
A nod to Dokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounded too much like him to be unintentional. So we get this scene between Matt and Dexter. Matt walks over to Dexter. He's shit-faced, obviously. We get this song called Heavenly Bodies playing in the background. And he's trying to pressure Dexter into going ahead and selling him the gun, even though the hold hasn't been lifted. Dexter's obviously like, no. Like he told him earlier, he has to follow the procedure. And then he continues to insist that Dexter come to his big party at his house. Why do you think this guy wanted Dexter to come to his party so bad?
I feel like he's just a people person and just like he's he bought a round for everyone at the bar.
Yeah.
So he's just
wants to be liked.
Yeah.
That's why he acts like a fucking moron. I don't get it. Like, read the room, though. Clearly, 50-year-old Jim Lindsay doesn't want to come to your big party. And we get a short scene here of Angela at the bar. And she meets this young girl who's traveling alone. And she buys this girl some food. She gives her some money. And she even tries to hook her up with, like, a shelter for the night, I think. To me, it seems like Angela's genuinely a good cop and person, and she's particularly concerned about the young women in that area, like we saw earlier, because they just keep going missing. Like, this has to be a central part of our story here. These missing women.
When Angela gets back to the table, she gets a Ring doorbell notification and sees that her daughter's having a party.
Dude, it made my butt clench when I saw all those kids pouring into her house. That would freak me out, too. And she makes a comment here. She says, "Aren't you glad they didn't have stuff like this when we were young?" And then after watching Original Sin, that statement hits so different. Jim's like, absolutely. And of course, because he was into some shady fucking shit when he was young.
Oh, yeah. He definitely would have gotten caught.
I miss Original Sin.
Me too. I really, really hope they do a season 2.
Put me to work, boss.
So Jim takes off towards his truck to leave, and we see that the figure that got off the truck earlier is watching him from afar. But before we get to that, we are thrown back into the frigid forest, and Dexter is on the run again.
With rifle in hand, he comes across the white deer again. He scopes it out, but the sound of a branch snapping somewhere kind of gets his attention. It makes the deer run off, And he realizes that figure is that person's even watching him in the forest.
Yeah, so who is this person? What do they want with Dexter?
That's got to be a nightmare for somebody like him.
Oh, yeah. He's always the one doing the stalking, so...
Yeah, and he's like, I've done so much. This could be anyone. If I'm being followed, it could be so many different people. So he takes off towards this mysterious figure, but they get away. We still don't know who it is.
So after that, we're back at the cabin, and Dexter's cooking up some breakfast. He's got the ham, the hot sauce.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the original show's title sequence.
Love it.
Definitely a nod. And Deb's telling him here to stick to his routine. She's telling him the routine is the key. But it seems like Dexter's kind of fed up with routine at this point. So we'll see where that goes. This is also, while he's cooking the ham here, this is also the scene where we learn that he hasn't killed anyone in 10 years. He hasn't murdered anyone since he faked his death. So that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Back at work, Dexter has some cinnamon rolls again.
Yeah, they're like strawberry. They look fucking good.
Yeah,
man.
they really
I'm
do.
hungry. So he's back at work to facilitate some more bloodshed. He checks on Matt's gun hold, which is still processing. And then in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, it's lunchtime.
He heads over to get a tuna sandwich. Very different than his usual pork sandwich.
I don't blame him though. I fuck with tuna. Tuna sandwich is so good.
Subway tuna?
Oh my god,
It's
yes.
different.
I know technically it doesn't have any actual tuna in it, but do I give a fuck? Not really. It's good.
But he can't get his sandwich because there is a protest happening with Edward Olsen.
Yeah, and Edward Olsen's drilling of Mother Earth in particular. All these people are lined up outside, chanting, I don't know, what is it? Shame on you, save the planet, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's something to do with climate change, and they're really not okay with Edward's petroleum company drilling. And I think it's funny, he comes out and he's like, I appreciate you all, and gives them all hot chocolate. That felt so, it felt so narcissistic for some reason. He seems really tore up about the fact that he can't get his sandwich. I think he says, my sandwich is in there.
I would be sad too.
We also see Angela's daughter here. She has skipped school to be at this protest. And she also dumps out the hot cocoa that Edward Olsen gives her in sort of this like fuck you statement moment. So it seems like she's a lot like her mother. She has a very strong moral compass.
At the end of the scene, we see the mysterious figure again.
Ooh.
We still don't know who it is.
Yeah, I think, and Dexter once again clocks him. He realizes that he's being watched, but we still just don't quite know who this is. It could be anybody.
Back at work, Dexter's been told that Matt's hold has been cleared.
Fred Jr. tells him he has to deliver the gun to Matt Caldwell at his home. It's like the universe wants Dexter Morgan to come out and play. Truly. So now, not only does he have to deliver this gun, he's got to go to this guy's house during his quote-unquote big party.
Dexter is not thrilled.
So Jim/Dexter shows up to Matt's big party, and he goes to find Matt, and Matt is busy, I'll say. And so while he waits for Matt to finish, for lack of a better word, he strikes up a conversation with Matt's buddy Bill, aka Dickface.
And Bill lets some stuff slip.
Yeah, he sure does. Some interesting things.
He says that Matt was the one driving the boat.
Ooh, which we kind of suspected, but that's interesting. What else?
Said that he was playing chicken, and that is what caused the wreck that killed the 5 people.
Chicken. And also, I think he even says the other guy yielded, and Matt rammed him anyway. So just fucking around and being a dick, he claimed the lives of 5 people. And this is very interesting to Dexter Morgan. That, by all accounts, means that Matt Caldwell is a murderer.
Yeah, Bill realizes what he said, and says, "This stays between us, right?" And Jim says,
You're looking at the guy where secrets go to die.
So Bill kind of laughs it off, but he has no idea how true that statement actually is. I mean, think of how many secrets went to die with Dexter Morgan. During this scene also, when Bill leaves the bathroom, Dexter looks at himself and he says, in the mirror, and he says,
What the fuck are you doing to me?
do you think he was talking to the dark passenger here?
"Oh, absolutely. It's starting to come out."
I think it's interesting. We see a little bit more of the dark passenger being personified in this show. We see it pretty heavily here in a few minutes, I think, but him like looking in the mirror and directly addressing the dark passenger, like, what are you doing? Super interesting. So once the moaning has died down, Dexter goes to find Matt to deliver this gun. All he needs is this guy's fucking signature, and he can get out of here.
Matt starts to fuck around with the gun, and we get this moment where Matt points the gun at Dexter, and Dexter takes the gun and smashes Matt's face.
Ooh, it's so fast and so, like, I remember, like, when I first watched it, being like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I was like, did he really just do that? But then it's just a daydream.
It's just a dizzy little daydream. He's just like, man, I fucking wish. He's not there yet. He's not to the point where he can't contain himself just yet. It does feel like, though, Jim is losing his grip a little bit.
So our next scene here, Dexter is back at home, and he notices that a light is on in the little cabin. What is happening?
He also sees a figure in the window. So he grabs the closest weapon and he sneaks around back to try to get a one-up on this intruder. And the intruder turns around and we see it's like a teenager. And this teenager is rifling through his papers.
Yeah, and he asks,
Are you Dexter Morgan? It's me, Harrison.
Boom. The look on his face is so perfect. When you can tell he's like,
"Oh shit."
yeah, heart-dropping kind of feeling. Holy shit. The figure this whole time was Harrison.
Like, where the fuck did he come from? How did he get all the way to New York from Argentina by himself?
He is Dexter's son, man. He's a smart kid, obviously, and he's very headstrong. He tells Dexter, he's like, if you don't want me, just fucking say it. Because Dexter tries to tell him, no, you've got the wrong guy. And this is also where we get a really interesting scene with Deborah.
Harrison.
You can't. Everyone close to you dies. That's why we're here. Dokes, LaGuerta, Rita. Me?
Yeah, Deb stops him to plead with him, saying that you can't. Everyone around you dies.
This is like, I feel like it's the part of him that is still human. The inner part of him that knows what's right, telling him, if you form a relationship with Harrison, it's very likely he's going to end up hurt or dead. And Deb does something insane here.
Yeah, she lists all the people that Dexter has hurt, like Dokes, LaGuerta, Rita, me, she says.
Yeah, she says me as she pulls this bullet out of her abdomen. And when she does that, like, the camera kind of refocuses and we see a blood stain appearing on Harrison's shirt, reminding Dexter of what is at stake if he doesn't do the right thing here.
Yeah, he then tells Harrison that there's a shelter in town that he can stay at, and he gives him money to catch a bus.
Yeah, he gives him the old boot, and then he finds a picture of him and Harrison, and I think he ends up burning the picture, if I'm not mistaken. It's a crazy dilemma because, of course, we want Dexter to talk to his son. That's so fucking sad, but
Dexter's made a life in Iron Lake,
He has a life where he doesn't have to kill people and he doesn't get people killed, most importantly. And I think that's what Deb was trying to stop him. She knows everyone who gets close to Dexter, not by his own hand, usually, but he gets them all killed. So Harrison kind of goes on his way. And then with that, we go into our next scene.
Yeah, the next morning, Jim is checking on his fish line, and he notices that he's caught something. So he goes to pull it up, but what emerges? Deborah
in her hospital gown, mind you. Scary. It kind of scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it because I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and then this black figure is kind of like pulling her down.
It jumps up and takes her back under the water. We can only assume, I was talking about this earlier, that this is the dark passenger personified, essentially pulling Deborah back into the depths. And with that, Dexter is startled awake. Have we ever seen Dexter, the Bay Harbor butcher, have a nightmare?
Not that I recall.
I thought that was a really crazy change of pace. He woke up from a nightmare. I'm like, holy shit. All the years we saw him, I don't think we saw... Even when he was like about to be imprisoned for murder, he wasn't having nightmares.
Yeah, Deborah appears beside of him in the bed here, and she says, almost 10 years without a kill, and I love you for it.
I think she also says something about, like, I'm glad I died first. I wouldn't have been able to live in the world without you, or something like that. Kind of reminds me, like, you remember before she died, in the original show, they kind of had this, like, shouting match, and she's telling Dexter, all this time I thought I needed you, but it's the other fucking way around. Do you remember that? She's like, you need me.
Right.
And it reminded me of that in a way. I think they needed each other. And it's so
100%.
It's so sad the way, that things turned out like this. Alas, here we are. And then we get back into the forest, and this is real life this time, not a nightmare.
Yeah, Dexter is still looking at this white deer.
Yeah, he follows it into this clearing. And we're kind of starting to get the feeling that this deer is not just a deer. This deer symbolizes something. It's a beacon, even, of purity, of innocence. Something that Dexter hasn't been in a very, very, very long time.
Dexter walks towards this deer and tries to make contact with it. He says, please, please, please. He wants to connect with this innocent being.
So badly he wants to connect. And he's like about to touch the nose of this deer. He's about to make this connection. And
when they originally shot this scene, I read an article that they did have Dexter, touching the deer. Their heads were touching. And Showtime asked them to pull it back, which is interesting.
I wonder why. I mean, I do kind of get it. It feels more like here, it feels more like kind of, the Great Gatsby. Gatsby spends his whole life reaching towards this green light. And after everything, it's just a farce. That was never a possibility for him anyway. It was just hope. It was just a dream. And Dexter's about to touch this deer, and he gets violently shaken back to reality when the deer gets shot.
And by who? Matt fucking Caldwell.
Matt fucking Caldwell comes into this clearing. He has just shot this beautiful buck with that huge fucking assault rifle that Jim/Dexter sold him the day before.
And Dexter is not, and Jim is not happy about this.
Matt very quickly gets what he deserves.
Yeah, Dexter just immediately clocks Matt with the gun.
Knocked his ass the fuck out.
Praise God, baby.
And here is where we get something that we've been missing all along.
It's been a long time. But if I'm gonna do this, I need to do it right. First rule of the code. Don't get caught.
We get the inner voice finally.
Yeah, we had not heard it all episode.
The dark passenger is awake, baby. Hell yeah. And he immediately goes into cover my fucking ass mode.
Yeah, I love this with the blood and the deer. He's using the deer's blood to, cover Matt's blood. And
It's crazy. 10 fucking years, and he's not even that rusty. Like, yeah, he does end up making a couple mistakes.
But he's still got it in him, you know? He knows what he's doing.
He's been fucking thinking about it. He's
yeah.
oh, what am I what am I gonna do? It's like when, for me and you, an example, when we're like thinking about what we're gonna do when we get to Red Lobster or something. We're like, oh, we're gonna fuck it up. That's what he's been thinking about all this time.
Right.
When I finally get there, I'm gonna fuck it up. And he does. He fucks it up.
Shut up, cunt.
And he makes this little makeshift kill room in his greenhouse.
Yeah, I love this little kill room. He sets it up so fast and pretty perfectly. Like, I can't believe he had all this out in his little shed still.
Like I said, he'd been planning it in the back of his mind. He does kind of make a comment here. He says, sorry about the mess, I'm out of practice.
I love the duct tape. I don't think we've ever seen him use like duct tape with the plastic before.
Yeah, I had to improvise.
We see him break some glass to make a little cheek slice.
And he even creates a blood slide with this, falling back into rituals. And this camera shot we get of Matt looking upward towards Dexter and looking through the blood slide is such a classic Dexter shot.
Yeah,
I was like,
beautiful shot.
I'm home. It felt like a warm hug after the frigid beginning of this episode. We also get a forehead tap.
Oof. Iconic.
Only Dexter can make something like tapping a forehead and spinning in a circle iconic. So Matt wakes up strapped to the table and he's like, what the fuck, obviously. Dexter tells him here, the deer was innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. And we know, especially from Original Sin now, how badly it irks Dexter. Crimes against innocence.
Yeah, he also screams at Matt here and says, tell me what you did. And that's a little callback to Mike Donovan in the first episode. That's what he kind of says to him.
Yeah, he says something similar. I think, open your eyes and look at what you did, is what he says to Mike Donovan, who is his very first kill that we see. He's the victim in the very first Dexter episode ever. And it's cool, these first two episodes both have kind of a similar vibe in that sense. And he also mocks Matt's little thing here with the knife, which is hilarious. He's so petty and cunty.
He does that a lot. He mocks people a lot.
In the most hilarious fashion.
And this scene also reminded me, when he does that, reminded me a lot of the scene, I think it's season 7 or season 8, when he's like...
He puts his fucking pussy into that shit. It's hilarious. It's some comedic relief in a very tense moment, and I appreciate it. He also lets it slip here to Matt that he used to be a serial killer. He says, well, fuck it. It's not so much that I was, but that I am. He still very much considers himself a serial killer. I mean, look at him.
I mean, once a serial killer, always a serial killer. I don't think you can really take that back.
No. No. And no amount of time is going to change that. But I think he always knew that deep down. Even those 10 years, he didn't want to cause any drama. He didn't want to cause any pain. He didn't want to hurt anyone. But he definitely knew deep down the Dark Passenger would come again.
Matt is still pleading for his life on the table. He says that his dad is going to rain down a world of pain on Dexter.
The way he starts, so first he's like crying and begging. He's like, dude, please. He's like, please, what did he say? My mom died when I was 8 and my dad works a lot. It's like when someone cheats on you and they're crying, but you know, they're still really torn up about their great aunt that died in 5th grade and shit like that. People like that will use any type of excuse to escape culpability, but that doesn't work. So then, like you said, Matt goes into this little, like, I don't know what he thought that was gonna do.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess when you're about to die,
begging
you'll do
and
anything.
pleading, yeah. And then Dexter says, you know,
Like you said, life is short, dude.
And with that, we get the fucking money shot.
and see, we get the classic kill from Dexter with the knife just going like straight down, which I'm so sad we didn't get to see in Original Sin. We did not get to see that kind of kill.
I just think we're not there yet. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
still a kid.
Right. I just wish we could have like seen the kill more in Original Sin. The way they shot the angles, I just wasn't
I agree. The
a
angles
fan of, but
it was odd. But they're always trying new things, which I appreciate. They don't want to do the same old, which I do appreciate. But it very much felt like we were back in OG Dexter, man. It was so cool.
oh yeah, this kill scene was incredible.
We also get the iconic line, "Tonight's the night." And he also catches himself in the mirror. "Hello, Dexter Morgan." So
Yeah.
Dexter is back. The Dark Passenger is up and running, bitch.
Before he finishes up with, Matt, he gets a call from Angela, and when he answers the phone, he says, "Hey, you." And that's a line he always said to Rita when she called.
Oh, fucking jackass. That was him and Rita's thing. I love her. I just ride so hard for Rita. She was so, so, so innocent and done so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
One of the worst deaths.
Absolutely. He also says here that he doesn't need trophies anymore, that he's an evolving monster. And with that, he gets rid of the blood slide, along with, he chops up Matt per usual. And he gets rid of the blood slide along with him. Now, I don't think he does anything with Matt right away, correct?
No, yeah, we don't see him do anything with Matt right now.
He makes a comment about ice fishing, but he doesn't do anything with the body yet. He's got something else on his mind. Instead, he drives straight to the bus station.
You know, after Miami, I could never get used to this damn cold.
I thought you didn't know me.
You were right. I'm Dexter Morgan.
He catches Harrison still waiting on a bus, and he talks to him.
Yeah, he tells him that he is in fact Dexter Morgan, that he is his Faja, his father. He's his daddy-o.
Yeah, and he asks Harrison to come home.
It's a hard pill to swallow as a viewer, man, because as much as you want good things for them, we know deep down, historically and canonically, people that get close to Dexter Morgan aren't typically safe.
And this scene was really sweet, like as much as I hate Harrison, I gotta say, like, it was a sweet little scene.
So he brings Harrison back to the cabin, and the inner voice here says, "My father protected me, taught me, and kept me alive. That's exactly what I'm going to do for my son." And then we pan down to a blood stain in the snow. Dexter Morgan. He has
rusty.
missed. Yeah, a little rusty, man. He has missed some evidence. Do we ever get his middle name?
At all? No.
I've just been calling him Dexter Reginald because I don't know what to put there. Dexter Allen. That might be cool. Dexter Allen Morgan. I don't know what his middle name. If anybody knows what his middle name is, like genuinely knows, please comment it because I have no idea. And I'm interested.
Yeah. But yeah, so wonder if this blood in the snow is going to come back.
Ooh, it always does, baby. I mean, one thing Dexter's good at, it's making the audience stress. He is good at that shit.
Yeah, to end the show, the end credits have the blood theme at the end, just
Iconic.
like the original.
I'm glad they kept that at least.
Yeah.
Overall, I loved this fucking episode. I loved it. It was such a good introduction, I think.
Yeah, it was such a fresh start.
Absolutely. Completely 180, a lot of different stylistic choices. Overall, I mean, what would you rate this episode if you were going to rate it from a 1 to a 10, since we typically do that? And by the way, there is no scientific method. This is just kind of our gut reaction. What are you giving it?
I rate this one a 9. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of callbacks and Easter eggs. I thought it was beautifully shot. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
I agree. I think it was great as well. I'm going to agree with you with the 9 because I just remembering the way that I felt the first time after I watched it, I was like,
someone cooked here.
And I know things didn't fully turn out the way we had anticipated, but this first episode is really, really good. I love that he chopped Matt up OG Bay Harbor style.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was going to do it because it was so it was such a snap decision. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't know if that he was going to do that, but he did, and it was fucking cool. Did we do a Deborah fuck count for this episode?
Yeah, she sadly only said fuck once this episode.
Yeah, well, think about it though. Like, it's not really Deborah. It's Dexter's perception of, he's projecting Deborah, and Dexter doesn't say fuck all that much.
Right. This version of Deb though is one of my favorites, so
she's
I
great.
feel like it's gonna come out some more. So we'll definitely be counting.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I said earlier, we're going to be back every week with a new episode that is covering an episode of Dexter New Blood. I think we are going to take a hiatus, like I said, the weekend of May 10th. We're not going to be recording. We're both going to be out of town. So we're going to skip that week, but then we'll resume the next week, and we'll finish up probably the end of May. And then get started on Dexter Resurrection, bitch.
Yeah, very excited.
I'm so stoked. And, I forgot to mention, okay, so we've really, really loved podcasting. It's been fun. It's something that we enjoy doing. And so I think we're going to probably starting in October, around spooky season, we are going to start a new podcast for the fans of Supernatural. If anybody likes Supernatural out there, we're going to be starting Salt and Burn, a Supernatural podcast. It'll be coming, like I said, probably October. There are so many fucking episodes of that show, though.
Yeah, insane.
An insane amount. So we're definitely not going to go episode by episode.
Yeah, 15 seasons, like 20 plus episodes a season.
Yeah, I want to say there's
crazy.
Like 320 some episodes or something like that.
Wild.
We haven't fully panned out the details yet. We're not going to be able to go episode by episode, but I don't think we're going to go season by season either. So we'll probably break up each season into a few episodes. If you're not a fan of Supernatural, do not fret. We are going to keep doing Dexter Unwrapped, but we just wanted to start in on something new so we don't get like too burnt out on Dexter, I guess. So that's coming too. And I think that does it for today's episode of Dexter Unwrapped. Remember, you guys can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We are at Dexter Unwrapped. It does look like TikTok is going to be banned again, so we'll let you guys know if we start up on any other platforms. But for now, it's just those. We would also really appreciate if you guys would subscribe on YouTube. It is super fucking hard to get subscribers over there. Where we don't have video or anything like that, we don't get many views or subscribers. So if you guys could go do that, we would really appreciate it. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for our recap episode of episode 1 of Dexter New Blood. And we can't wait to see what is in store for us in June. We'll be back next week to cover episode 2, which is titled Storm of Fuck. Love that name.
Yeah, also a little callback to the original series.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week. Once again, I'm Brooke.
And I'm Michaela. And until next time, stay safe and keep that dark passenger in check.